There's catch him pulling out. Theophane, stay outside, box, give some angles.
Gentlemen, you've both been given instructions in the dressing room, so I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Okay, keep your guard up, touch gloves, and good luck to both of you.
Roberto Velez, third man inside tonight. So Danny Garcia, a proud Philly fighter. Unbeaten, but yet to be truly tested. Says he's a lot smarter now than when he turned pro. Feels he's a lot stronger, learning how to be more relaxed, picking his shots. This is his first fight of 2010.
Well, this is a good step up for Garcia, and maybe a real test. We're going to find out. I think at the end of the day, Garcia, talent-wise, is going to be better than Theophane, but will he be mature enough to carry that talent? I think that's what Theophane and his people are counting on. The maturity, the experience level being better than the talent level right now of the young Garcia.
This is one of those steps to getting more experienced, adding that maturity for Danny Garcia. They both open up with left hooks right there.
Theophane got away with something. He jumped in with the left hook. He broke one of the sometimes the cardinal sin of boxing, a rule that you don't want to break. He led with a big left hook in front. If he keeps doing that, I would expect Garcia, who's had 120 amateur fights, he should know what to do. Beat him with a straight right hand and maybe drop him. Theophane been a little inactive. 8 months since he was last in the ring.
Told you he won 5 straight. 4 of them were in England. This is just his 3rd fight in the States. Did come up with a win against DeMarcus Corley back in July 2008. That was in New York.
Yeah, as you said, most fights for Theophane in Europe. He's 1-1 over here in the United States. He's built his record with very underwhelming opposition. Let's put it that way. Theophane has. I mean, I'll just read a couple of the records of some of his opponents, and really you need a calculator to really add up the losses. I mean, here's one. 22 wins, 116 losses. 10 wins, 48 losses. 16 wins, 71 losses. 9 wins, 78 losses. 9 wins, 89 losses. Did you add all that up, Joe?
A lot of guys there with single-digit wins and over 70 losses, so that's the resume of Theophane. We saw him on Friday Night Fights against Ali Ubali back in 2008.
Well, Theophane's showing you what he thinks he has to be. The guy that moves, like we talked about leading into this fight. Keep your edge. He wants to move. He wants to box a little bit. Try to be elusive. Try to keep a guy that in his mind, Garcia, who Theophane is showing you by his approach, he thinks Garcia a little stronger physically. He doesn't want to stay in one spot. Garcia better start using that jab and not let a rhythm catch on with Theophane, where he controls the pace and again navigates his way around here.
Landed a right hand to the body and then a left hand upstairs. Did the upset-minded Ashley Theophane. Friday Night Fights here in El Paso. Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas with you ringside. Round number 2 of Danny Garcia and Ashley Theophane. Garcia is the one to watch at 15-0 with 10 knockouts, just 21 years old. His goal was always the Olympics. Came up short of that, so he turned pro. Now changes the goal, saying, I want to get myself to 20-0, get the experience, and go after a world title. Let's look at the CompuBox numbers from round number 1. Comparable numbers, both men landing 7 punches.
Well, Theophane is showing you that he wants to do a little bit of guerrilla war tactics. You know, jump out at you a little bit when you don't expect it. Behind that terrain, offer that movement a little bit, and then get out of town again. He doesn't want to stand in front of the 21-year-old Garcia, who he figures can punch and is strong. Why give him a chance to use that asset? And since Theophane is going to show this kind of approach, which I think is the right approach, you know.
Now he ties up on the inside.
Sneak attack a little bit. Again, keep Garcia off balance. Take little bits of Garcia. Don't take all of them. But it's going to be up to Garcia not to look for one shot. I think he's going to have to go to the body, slow down Theophane, take those wheels away.
His father, Angel, after the first round, wanted to see more use of the jab, and we've really yet to see it here in the second round.
You always want to see the jab. Obviously, that's a very important element for any fighter. Fundamental element, sets everything up, takes care of defense as well as offense. But I think you want to see it more tonight, Joe, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Garcia fighting a guy like Theophane, Theophane's going to keep doing that. He's going to pot shot, he's going to move around, he's going to try to drive you crazy. You need the jab to stabilize him, to keep him in his place, to get a little contact, a little control over him. If you're looking for those shots, the big shots all the time, you're going to be hitting air a lot with a guy like Theophane. You need that jab just to settle Theophane down.
There he jabs to the body.
The one thing that scares me about Theophane is when he comes in with that wide hook. I think if Garcia's ready for a right hand, the straight right hand is going to beat a wide left hook.
Seen Theophane very wide with many of his punches so far tonight. The right hand.
Right now, Theophane's approach is, I'm going to give a little to get a lot. And that's what he's trying to do. He's giving a little bit of distance, giving a little bit of, you know, stepping out, and then he's looking to get something on a rebound.
End of 2. Fast, strong, but still learning. 21-year-old unbeaten prospect Danny Garcia, round number 3 against Ashley Theophane.
Well, Garcia comes out with what I think he needs to take control of this fight, to jab. And Theophane comes out doing what his approach has been from the opening bell. Get off, pot shot, and try to move afterwards. Pick spots. Looks like Garcia wants to stay right there and get him to engage with him. Theophane doesn't want to engage, Joe.
There's a looping wide right hand from Theophane. When Garcia was quick to fire a right to the body. Now
again,
looking to flick that jab out there.
He needs that jab. I think he needs a hard, real stiff jab. No, discombobulating jab. A jab, even if he lowers the sights on it a little bit with a guy like Theophane and aims it for the chest. Just to keep Theophane, like I said, disorganized a little bit, in control. Stabilize him a little bit. You're not going to stabilize a guy like that if you're just looking for one shot.
There's a snapping jab that connected from Garcia. Now to the inside.
Step back.
So far, the maturity level I talked about is favoring Theophane. He's doing more of what he needs to do than Garcia is doing of what he needs to do. Theophane, 7 1/4 pounds less than his last fight. He came here ready.
Made a comment before the fight that he didn't think Danny Garcia was ready for this level of a fight.
Well, I said earlier that Theophane shouldn't lead with left hooks. He shouldn't just cover up in front of Garcia because he gives him that body. And Garcia, if he gets his engine going a little, his confidence going a little bit, he's a pretty good body puncher. You know, I think there's something going on in Theophane's mind right now, Joe. I just see a twinkle in his eye. I'm not saying it's going to work, but I think he starts seeing an immature guy in his mind that maybe he can back up. Maybe he can test that way a little bit. Instead of just doing the sniper attack thing he was doing early, I think he's starting to try to back him up. He sees a young guy in front of him, and he wants to see how that young guy is going to behave in a fight.
Said he saw fear in his eye leading up to this fight. Obviously 10 rounds here, so
I just see a change. I see a little change right here. Coming forward more, Theophane.
Last minute of this 3rd round, that has been the case.
Okay, whatever happens, stay focused.
The up-and-coming Danny Garcia, second fight on ESPN. When our researcher interviewed him, he asked an interesting question. He got an interesting answer. Listen to this.
He asked me a question. He said, "What do people don't know about you?" And I said, "I got 6 toes in my right foot."
People ever say, "Hey, I want to see your 6th toe"?
All the time. Okay. All the time.
Seconds down. Seconds down.
Well, you remember Andrew Six Heads Lewis? Well, here's 6 toes Garcia.
Except he really has 6 toes. Andrew Lewis didn't have 6 heads. Well, we try to bring you every aspect.
That's digging deep.
Yeah, that's digging deep. We try to bring you everything that's out there about our contestants in the ring, and that's an example of it right there. I don't know what the heck it means as far as his boxing ability.
Fits in the shoe, Teddy. He's good to go.
But maybe he's got a little better balance. But I'd rather see a better jab if I was a back of Garcia right now.
Now, you noted at the end of the 3rd round that the disposition of Ashley Theophane had started to change, where maybe he's gaining a little confidence of now coming forward and being just a touch more the aggressor.
It's going to be a good or a bad thing. The good thing is he's going to break down Garcia, maybe. The bad thing is he's going to get caught.
Let's go. Overhand right. Down to the body, overhand right.
And if he gets caught, he could get caught to the body again. Garcia has been a good body puncher, but against less opposition, obviously. You know, part of what you do, it's not that he can't do it with Theophane. He did it with less opposition. A lot of people say, well, they were lesser guys. That's why he was able to do it with. I disagree. He could do it with Theophane. The confidence level is different. See, with the lesser guy, you're more confident and you try it. And you do it without hesitation. With the better guys, you're less confident. You're a little bit more hesitant and you don't try it. It's not that you can't do it. You're not as sure as you are with guys that you know you have a big edge with.
Caught him with that right hand that came after the left, but still not much of a jab at all from Garcia.
Well, what I like there with Garcia is they weren't lead punches that caught Theophane. They were counter punches. He allowed Theophane to come in wide, fall in a little, and he's taking advantage of that right now.
And he's got a thud to his punches.
And again, it's on the back end that Garcia is doing good this round, Joe, not the front end. It's not on his lead punches. It's when Theophane falls in, comes in, like right there.
Right there.
It's on the back end that Garcia is turning it this round.
2 times Theophane has thrown that looping right hand, and both times Garcia came right back and scored well, especially to the midsection.
Right now, Garcia taking advantage of the mistakes of Theophane. That's all it is. Taking advantage of him coming forward a little wide and leaning a little. And again, you see it. Garcia looking for the counter shot, especially on the right side. He's pulling that right shoulder back a little bit like that, and then filling the hole with the right hand. The right hand or the right uppercut. A lot of people say, well, Teddy, this round, you know, the talent you talked about, the power started showing to Garcia. I would say also the experience and the intellect. He started finding a place for the counter, and it's been working.
Good round for Danny Garcia.
Well, Garcia hasn't used his jab, but he switched to counter-punching that last round. Right there, you see he dips back that right shoulder. He allows Theophane to do some of his work for him, Joe. He reaches in, Garcia, nice counter. And it turned it around a little bit, turned the rhythm around that last round.
Round 5 now, scheduled for 10. Danny Garcia, the unbeaten prospect, got things going there in that last round. Joe and Teddy with you here in El Paso. Our main event still to come is a good one. Antonio Escalante against Mickey Roman. And we're glad to bring in our guest studio analyst, super middleweight titleist, currently in the midst of that Super 6 tournament, Andre Ward. Andre, of course, you know very well what it is to be an unbeaten fighter on the way up and those levels of progression. Where do you feel Danny Garcia is right now?
I feel Danny Garcia doing a great job, but I agree with Teddy. I think he understands that he does have power. I mean, he has the Cleto Reyes gloves on. He knows he's a puncher, but he needs to hide the power because as you step up the competition, guys are not going to go out too easily. So I think his opponent is really just setting him up to catch him down the road and really just lull the young fighter to sleep. So I'm just hoping he starts boxing a little bit more and understands that it may take a few rounds to soften up his opponent and then eventually knock him out.
Well, that's why you're a world champion. A lot of guys have talent, you have talent, but you have the intellect and the understanding of that, Andre. And talking about being undefeated, I don't know if anyone's brought this up to you recently, but you're not only undefeated, you're undefeated for about 14 years. I mean, it's been...
Gold medal in the Olympics.
I think it was 1996, the last time you lost a fight.
That's correct, Teddy. I don't like to lose, to say the least.
You sure know how to do that one thing, and that's win.
That's right.
And that's a great talent. Good to have you with us.
And by the way, happy birthday, Andre. Wasn't your birthday this week?
23rd of February. Thank you, guys.
There you go. Glad to have you with us on your birthday week. Andre Ward in studio with Brian Kenny tonight. Of course, the gold medalist from '04. Teddy, you saw him have that glory in Athens.
Yeah, he did it. He did it with a little bit of a heavy heart too. You know, he's not only a terrific fighter, and I think he's one of the best out there. When you talk pound for pound, I think you have to start putting Andre Ward into that conversation. A lot of people say, Teddy, you're putting him in there already. I say, yeah, he's complete. You know, he can fight with you when he has to. He can box you. He can counter you. He can switch to southpaw. You know, he's consistent. He doesn't wilt under pressure. I mean, he can do all those things, and he's a great human being. He has that great character inside and outside the ring, and when I say he did it with a heavy heart, he did it in memory of his dad, who he had lost.
End of 5 here. Garcia in control. Joe and Teddy with you in El Paso. Antonio Escalante and Nicky Roman coming up in what is expected to be a very exciting main event. We're seeing the next stage of development here tonight in the career of Danny Garcia in the blue trunks, 15-0, 10 knockouts from Philadelphia, one of the top young prospects in the sport here at 140 pounds.
You know, again, to what I was saying earlier, and also touching again on what Andre Ward was also talking about, when Garcia's done well, it hasn't been with just his power, it's been with his intellect, it's been with his mind, it's been on the counter. You know, and that's got to do with finesse, and that's got to do with thinking more than it has to do with just pure power. The power means nothing if you can't find the trick or method to get it to the target. And last couple rounds, that's been the trick for Garcia. Even early here, he's doing better when he counters with those big shots than when he leads with them.
Waiting on Theophane, many times coming back with a sweeping shot down low to the body.
And Theophane does give you chances to counter because he throws a lot of wide shots.
Very wide.
You know, he gives you that window of opportunity, that daylight, like right there, to do something in between. There's a big margin for error with Theophane's punches. And when there's a margin for error, that means a counterpuncher can clean up. I heard somebody yell, do it again. Theophane leaned in with that left hand to the body, Joe. I wouldn't do it again if I was Theophane because Garcia saw it. And I think there's a chance to counter with the right hand if Theophane leans in with that left again.
That left hand straight low. And a warning comes from Roberto Velez.
I still like to see that jab more, Garcia, but the counterpunching has served the cause so far. It has, I think, gotten him back in control of this fight. And again, the body is there for Garcia, Joe. I don't think he's taking it enough. But Theophane gives you the body when he covers up, when he puts those earmuffs on, like right there. Good example of it. And those elbows come out a little bit when he goes into that peekaboo. I think Garcia should beat that drum downstairs.
Just missed over the top of that right hand. We are here in El Paso, and that's because the local kid, one of the top-ranked junior featherweights and featherweights, is from here in El Paso. Antonio Escalante is now joined by ESPN Deportes' Claudio Trejos.
Here we are with Tony Escalante. Tell us a little bit about your strategy for tonight.
My strategy is just going in the ring, being real smart, you know, and of course, you know, as everybody knows me, I'm an aggressive fighter. I'm going to go in there and throw a lot of punches in bunches.
How bad is this rivalry with Roman?
It's really bad. You know, I mean, it's been since we were little kids, and we fought when we were little kids, and now we're fighting as older guys, and then this is personal.
You think there's a little bit of pressure fighting here?
Yes, there's a lot of pressure fighting in my hometown, but we're ready for it. We're ready. We got prepared. Our training, everything went well, so we're ready for Mickey Roman.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck to you. And back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Claudia. Escalante had been fighting here in front of his hometown fans for some 2.5 years, but now he's a huge local draw. This is third straight fight night in El Paso. We were here last summer. This Don Haskins Center was absolutely rocking. And they will be filling up as the night gets deeper, as we work our way towards that main event, Escalante and Mickey Roman. Round 7 now of Garcia and Theophane. There's another wide shot that Garcia was able to take advantage of.
You know, I talked about the character, which is so important, the character of gold medalist and current world champion, our studio guest host, Andre Ward. Theophane does pretty good in that area, too. Good person, works with troubled kids. Matter of fact, he works on a program with kids that are expelled from school, tries to talk to them, motivate them, get them on the right track.
Back in his native London, does come and train in the U.S. His management is originally from London, but New York based.
There we go.
There was an opportunity a moment ago when Theophane fell in a little bit for Garcia to counter. Plenty of opportunities again for Garcia to do that, get it on the back end and get it to the body. Well, if you wanted to practice counterpunching, I would bring Theophane in because, you know, he's a perfect guy to get pounder punches off. They come in a little fast.
Yeah, he comes in wide. Nothing is sharp and snapping.
For the most part, he's not using his jab. You know, one of the worst nightmares of a counterpuncher is to have a guy jabbing. And there's a good counterpunch there. Nice right hand over a slow left hand of Theophane.
Probably the best punch landed so far in this fight. Counter right by Danny Garcia, and now he's trying to hunt down his prey with just over 60 seconds to go here in round 7.
Now, you know Theophane's going to be a little bit on the bite. So go to the body if you're Garcia, take the air out of those tires, and there might be a chance for Garcia to catch Theophane stepping out, stepping away.
Straight right hand that time, split the guard of Theophane. Now on the inside, he misses with a right of his own.
If he winds up winning this fight, Garcia, I think if they breathe a sigh of relief, and you always breathe a sigh of relief when you're in this business and you win a fight, especially if it's a father, as it is in this case, training the fighter, as he's training Garcia. But you'd probably say, thank goodness for counterpunching, because it hasn't been a jab. You know, it hasn't really been the body work of Garcia, which is good at those things. It's been the counter work. And there it is again.
Yeah, he just landed the right hand again as Theophane stepped right into a very strong round for Danny Garcia.
You always hear me talk about you have to have an intellect, you have to set your punch up. Jab to the body, right hand up top. Take another look at it. He sets it up nice. Jab downstairs, catches Theophane, not expecting upstairs. And then here's the counter punch. Gets Theophane to fall in, rotates his shoulder back, right hand.
Listening into Angel Garcia, the father of Danny Garcia, in between the 7th and 8th round. And I got the sense, Teddy, in listening to what Angel Garcia was saying, is that this may not be Danny Garcia at his very best tonight in his eyes. That he said, that's the kind of fighter you are. That's the kind of fighter that you can always be, what we just saw there in the 7th round. I think he wants to see more consistency as we come down the stretch run of this fight.
Well, that's what you want to see with a prospect. You don't want to just see, you know, a strong guy. There's a lot of strong guys out there. You go to Venice Beach, you find a whole bunch of them. They're not world champs, by the way. You want to see a complete package, a guy who uses his mind, a guy like Andre Ward. Not that everyone could be at that level, but that's what you want to aspire to, be complete. And I think that's what the father understands for the future of the son, Garcia.
Of course, Andre Ward, world titleist, gold medalist, unbeaten at 21-0, in studio with Brian Kenny tonight. We'll hear more from them at the conclusion of this fight as we get ready for Antonio Escalante and Mickey Roman in the main event.
You know, he just got hurt a little bit.
He just got staggered and then held on. Now he shakes it off.
Yeah, usually no means yes in boxing. When a guy shakes his head, no, you didn't hurt me, it means, yeah, you did. I don't want you to think you did. But the reason he did, he got carried away with the counterpunching. He showed that left hook counter coming. You know, he wasn't crisp with it. He didn't hide it. He showed it coming. And Theophane beat him with the right hand. You can see that Garcia's looking to set a mousetrap here, or a punch trap. He's dropping his left hand.
He's waiting on him.
Yeah, he's dropping that left hand to try to invite Theophane in a little bit and then catch him with that left hook. He was just late with it, and the right hand of Theophane's was there first.
Let's look at Teddy's scorecard here as it stands through 7 complete rounds. Minutes go in round 8. 68-66 for the unbeaten Garcia.
Well, Garcia forgot about that little tactic. He threw that out the window, dropping his left and trying to invite Theophane in for the counter left hook. He showed it again there Garcia. A little hitch in that counter left hook, Joe, of Garcia, and Theophane needs to keep looking for that. Garcia dropping that left hand, brings his shoulder back a little bit, shows that he's going to throw the left hook. It's up to Theophane then to try to beat him with the right.
And blood coming from the nose now of the young prospect Garcia. There's that looping right hand that he's been able to counter consistently throughout this fight. Not that time.
Here comes that maturity thing, that maturity level going to be tested a little here. Better round for Theophane.
2 rounds to go.
Careful you don't get what you asked for. He drops his left hand, Garcia, invites the right hand in of Theophane. Looping right hand. But the problem was Theophane got a little bit of that hook in. Not real solid, but it got a little bit of it in because Garcia did a little too much inviting there by dropping that left.
Teddy, remember earlier we discussed the fact that the next step as Garcia heads up is the distance fights, and he had never been past 8 rounds in his career. The 21-year-old now round number 9 against Ashley Theophane.
Garcia better stop dropping that left and inviting that right, because guess what? Theophane's taking him up on that invitation. And he's coming to dinner.
Yeah, the exact quote from his dad when he went back to the corner was, "You're letting this knucklehead back into the fight."
That right hand of Theophane has found a home.
Takes the last round on Teddy's scorecard, tightens things up here. First 3 rounds were close and competitive, and then in the 4th round, Garcia really started to separate himself with the counter and punching.
Again, when this report card's over, there'll be a few B's. I don't think there'll be any A's. Maybe an A in effort, or an A in, you know, acting like a pro. Maybe an A-, but there'll be some B's, some B-minuses. But there might be an F in the jab department.
Agreed. It hasn't been there enough.
No, and he's made it a tougher fight, and I'm sure the father's probably going to agree with that.
That left hand went low. Remember, he received a warning earlier.
It's a tough spot to get a point taken away.
So he's taking a point away as ref Roberto Velez, but he did hand out the warning earlier to Danny Garcia.
He better not lose this round now.
Could be a 10-8 round.
Well, that's what makes it interesting.
Now he's got to press it a little bit.
Yeah, does he press it and get careless? Or does he keep it tight and just get success? so far he's been keeping it tight. So you worry when a guy at 21 years of age suddenly is told he's got to press the round, otherwise suffer a 10-8 round, that he gets careless. But so far, give him credit. He's not getting reckless. He's just getting busier. And again, I think at the end of this night, Garcia's father's going to say, where the heck was that jab? But right now, you're finding out that he behaves like a fighter. He's stepping it up.
Garcia's winning this round. No doubt about it. Much the aggressor, but the point deduction, that can be costly.
It was Christmas, and there was a wish list. I think Garcia, if you had a wish list for Garcia, I think it would be more jabs and more body work.
There comes Theophane over the top with that right hand. But a good work rate from Garcia. Point deduction at best a 9-9 round for him.
After a low blow, point deduction, you always want to look at the replay and see if it was really low. Not a real conclusive angle there, but I think you saw enough to see that indeed it did look like it was low there. Brought up the trunks underneath of Theophane.
And referee Roberto Belez feels that he saw enough numerous times tonight. So the point deduction comes in round number 9 for the unbeaten Danny Garcia.
Well, it looks like this round, you know, I thought Theophane found a home for the right hand a couple rounds ago. Now he's looking for the left hook. And I think it might be his undoing. Maybe he'll land it, but I think when he starts leading with those left hooks, he gives Garcia a chance for that right hand.
Yeah, Garcia has the superior hand speed. He's going to get there first. That was more of a clubbing left hand that time, and then an up jab from Theophane. Now let's look at Teddy's scorecard as it stands right here. A 9-9 last round because of the deduction, so 86-85.
Again, the counterpunching is the best thing for Garcia, and every once in a while they get that body, and you can't help but get that body if you move your hands downstairs with Theophane because he gives it to you. You know, he covers up and he stays there. And when he covers up, those elbows come up a little bit of Theophane's, and he gives you a clean shot to that midsection. See, that right hand was set up by a jab. Not a good jab, but at least there was a jab there.
Jab to the body from Garcia. There's something you just talked about with the left hand there. It was just to the center of the body. Sometimes just lower your target and see what you hit.
And again, some counterpunching a little. Garcia likes to rotate that right shoulder back when you reach in on him like that. See, he'll rotate that right shoulder back, create a little space, and then come back with the right hand to fill the space. You know, when a kid does something wrong, you make him go in school and you write, you know, 100 times, I will not do this wrong again. You know, just write it on the page. I will not do that. Well, after this fight, I would make Garcia go to the gym and instead of writing that 100 times, maybe jab about 500 times. I will not be without my jab again. I will not be without my jab again.
Well, he left it in Philly. But good counter-punching, thudding shots. Final 10 seconds of the fight here.
This is a development fight for Garcia. He'll grow up a lot in this fight. He'll learn what to do and what not to do from this fight.
Well, then it served its purpose. The development of Garcia, the 21-year-old, much talked about 140-pound prospect. We will hear from the judges when we return to Friday Night Fights in El Paso, Texas. Stay with us. Don Haskins Center starting to fill up. They're looking forward to the main event with their local hero, Antonio Escalante. For now, they just saw Danny Garcia trying to move his mark to 16-0. CompuBox final numbers look this way. 168 landed for Garcia, 137 for the awkward Ashley Theophane. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. Keep in mind, 9th round, a point deduction, thus the 9-9. First 3 rounds were close. Garcia took over with the counter-punching in the middle rounds, finished up the 9th and the 10th stronger, 96-94. Garcia stays undefeated according to Teddy. But what do the judges here in El Paso have to say? For that, we send it up to the ring, where it appears they are still calculating things ringside, Teddy.
Well, that's never good.
We've seen a lot through the years, haven't we? And that's the one thing we can tell you.
Yeah, Garcia might have to take his shoe off.
Like an abacus? Start counting?
You know, I mean, he might have to say to the judges, do you need it?
You need some extra digits.
You need an extra digit? I got one.
Well, they got things straight here in Texas right now. Commissioner Dickie Cole and the boys. So let's send it up to the ring announcer, Thomas Triber.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards, and we have a split decision.
See what I mean?
Judge Levi Martinez scores it 95-94 in favor of Theophane. Judge Raul Valencia scores it 95-94 in favor of Garcia. And Judge Gerardo Benzor scores it 96-94 in favor of your winner and still undefeated, Danny Swift Garcia.
That was a little too close for comfort for an undefeated prospect of the pedigree and thought forward of Danny Garcia, isn't it?
Yeah, what made it closer was the lack of the jab. He uses that jab. I believe it's not that close, and that's what made it a little harder. The opponent, Theophane, take nothing away from him, but the lack of the jab of the young Garcia, I think, made that fight as close as it was.
Danny Garcia, first time he goes the full 10 rounds, a split decision. Theophane gave him some trouble. He was awkward. The lack of the jab that Teddy pointed out early on. But nonetheless, Garcia now moves to 16-0. Coming up, what many feel will be a very good-looking main event. This guy's been a thriller in his hometown. Antonio Escalante, a top